Welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name is Grant. Today I'm unboxing a brand new release from GMT Games here in 2025 called Congress of Vienna. And the tagline here or subtitle is Diplomacy, Negotiation, and War in Europe, 1813 to 1814. The game is designed by Frank Esparago and is volume 4 in what is called the Great Statesman series. I actually don't see that. I'm not sure I see that anywhere on the box, which is odd. But volume 4 in the Great Statesman series. The series was initially designed by Mark Herman with Churchill. Churchill was the first game in this series, followed by Pericles. The other volume is yet to be released. It's called Triumvir, but I believe that was announced prior to this one, so that's why it's volume 3. I may be a little shaky on my timeline, but that's generally what it is. So what is this game? It's a kind of a modified card-driven game where the players kind of play out the end of the Napoleonic era wars in kind of 1813, 1814. So there's a little bit of strategic warfare on a board, negotiating over different issues and elements, trying to get the war to come to an end. And then ultimately, the final peace that was negotiated and discussed at the Congress of Vienna, I believe in 1814. I think it was finalized in 1815. I might be a little bit shaky on that. But I think the game picks up shortly after the disastrous march on Moscow by Napoleon in 1812 and his subsequent defeat, and as he was retreating and falling back. That's kind of where the game is started. Beautiful box. Love the header up here, the art. Love the look and feel. I think it's clean. And this is one of their bigger boxes, their 3-inch boxes. So this is a hefty game, lots of stuff in it. When you flip it over to the back, you'll notice up here there's all different types of wooden pieces. That's part of the reason the game retails for the price that it does. Uses beautiful cards, lots of different markers. There was one part I wanted to focus on here on the back as I was reading it. Here we go. I think it's right here. It says, Congress of Vienna reproduces the spirit of Churchill. So it's focused on that game and that style in its components and mechanics while adding a hint of grognard seasoning. I liked that phrase, to capture the flavor of this era's greatest Napoleonic battles. Very much looking forward to this. The game does have a solitaire mode, a dedicated solitaire mode. That's why you see the solitaire suitability is so high. I don't know much about that. I have not dove into that yet. But the game plays in 90 minutes to 6 hours. I think the short scenarios are the 90 minutes. The longer game or full game is the one that will take up to 6 hours. Churchill was basically like a 4 or 5 hour game because it had 10 turns. We love Churchill. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Let's go ahead and crack the box open. First thing you see here are the rule books. There are 3 of them. This one is a unique kind of take on teaching and instructing this game. It's called the Quick Start Rules Summary. Then you have the playbook, which you're going to kind of get some detailed examples of play. And I think there's also a lot of historical notes and the different scenarios that are contained in here. And then you have the full rule book. We'll look at those in turn really quickly. I just wanted to show you, though, this quick rules summary. It's about, I want to say it's like 8 pages. Not a lot. Oh, it's 12 total pages. But you can see it has, these are the different issues that you're going to be negotiating and discussing over the table. Those are all listed here. That's good. That's kind of like a player aid. You have an intro to the system, discussion about the cards and the sequence of play. You're going to read this in about 30 minutes, whereas the full rule book, which is probably going on 40 pages, you will savor and try to find out the finer points. Yeah, a whole bunch of different kind of assistance in learning the game. I think that's very valuable. Already talked about the playbook, and then here you have the rule book. It is very thick. It is very daunting. But I'm sure that it's 55 pages. I said 40 pages. It does have a nice index in the back, so you can reference specific rules as you are playing, and find them quickly. That's always an important thing. Lots of historical context and as an introduction and an overview of the game. The major powers that you are playing or that are playable, there's some minor powers as well. Austria, Britain, France, and Russia, the big four. Full color rules. This is flat paper printed on it. There's the board. This is the strategic kind of war board. Very interesting look there. And here is that negotiating table or conference table that was so prominent in Churchill. Lots of different pieces. You will notice there's a chess piece there as the player turn order marker, which is kind of cool. But there you go. A good look at the rule book. There's a lot of dense text. You will notice there's some important elements highlighted. I always like that. There are also some exceptions that are highlighted. That's going to help us play the game, get into it, and be able to follow it. There's some examples, which is always nice. A lot of times designers, I think in their mind, they have an understanding implicitly of what they're trying to, or explicitly of what they're trying to imply through the rules, but sometimes it doesn't come off as well as they had thought. So examples, I think, are good. Lots of great examples, but a 55-page rule book, so that's going to be a little bit daunting. There are some stickers that will go on the army blocks. You can get a look at those. Very nice graphic design, very Spartan, I think, but well done. Those look great. I'll put those stickers on. And then now you have player aids. There are 4 play aids, which is good. They are double-sided. They basically have all of those elements that we talked about in the quick start rules right on the play aids. They have handy references to the sections in the rule book. I think that's good. Always a good thing, but there's the play aids. And there are 4 of them because the game plays 1 to 4 players. There are also some bot, remember it has a solitaire mode. There are some bot flip charts. This is the Allied bot. This is the French bot. So the Allied bot covers Russia, Austria, and Britain, evidently. And then the French bot just covers France. But very nice play aids, very, very full of information. Once again, quick references to the rule sections. That's a good thing. Pre-rounded counters, that's a thing of beauty. I don't have to clip these. Everything from resources, and these are Russian, French, and British by the color. Austrian as well. And then you have the different issues. And if you've played Churchill, you're literally going to negotiate by playing cards and moving these issues up and down and around on a track, trying to get them onto your side so that issue becomes your issue. You have things like military support, where that's going to help you in the different battles. Think things like mercenaries, men, ammo, cannon, those supplies that are going to support the war. You have victory point markers. Military operations are going to allow the military support to be used to attack. So that's another issue. Recruitment. And these look like they are negative recruitment. So it's almost like you're fighting over these issues to make it. Well, actually, I think without reading the rules, my guess is the French player is going to lose a VP when they get this issue, but they're going to be able to recruit soldiers. So that's kind of cool. And if you flip them over on the back, the French players are going to get -3 VP, where the others are just getting -1, other than the Russian, which also gets -3. But recruiting, replacements, these are some of the different tactical movements that you can use. That's pretty cool. There are DRMs, special Britain and debate counters for Britain, Russia, France, and I don't see Austria. There we go. War of 1812 is right there. And then some leaders up here as well. Very nice looking counters, as would be expected. GMT always does a great job in art and layout. Mounted map board. That's one of the reasons it came in a big 3-inch box, because it does have a mounted map board. Beautiful board, and it's huge, by the way. All right, so I've got it upside down, of course. If there's a way I'm going to screw it up, it's always going to be things like that. Open it up where it's upside down. Let's move. That's a big board. It's going to be hard to get every aspect of the board in. But once again, mounted map board. Once again, this is the strategic military situation over here. And these are, here, I'll kind of bring that up a little closer so you can see that. But these are simply areas and countries, Hanover, Holland, Saxony, Bavaria, Poland, that you are going to be fighting over. Those are represented by these, I'm going to call these boxes, but they're more like areas on an area movement board. Good legend here. There is a victory point track around the outer edge. And then over on this side, you've got the bargaining or conference table. Negotiation table is what it's called. These are the different, Britain, Austria, Russia, and then France over there. And you're going to negotiate and move these issues on your track. Someone's then going to play a card and move them back. Ultimately, at the end of the negotiation, anything that lands on your track, you get. It's a very cool and interesting mechanic that I think plays very well and creates a very interesting situation. All right, let's go ahead and bring the rest of the box. One of the reasons I'm trying to unbox this is we're going to try to play this in an upcoming convention. A bag o' baggies. Remember I mentioned lots of wood after looking at the back. Multicolored dice. You have green, red, white, and blue. So each side's going to have their own dice. And then you have a bunch of cubes. These are just multicolored wooden cubes. Nothing fancy about them. And then here are those blocks that these stickers are going to go on. And a couple of pawns that you will place out on the board. These are rectangular blocks, which is kind of unique. I like that. I think that's kind of cool. And we know that, right? Spoiler alert, the stickers were rectangular shaped. So we knew that was going to happen. I did want to dig out what was this? The turn order, which is that's awesome. I think that's a great piece of design because this is like a big game of chess in many ways. 2 decks of cards. I think there are 4 different types of cards. I can't remember all the names of those, but there will be things like historical events at each of the years where there will be kind of a lasting or lingering effect on the players. Those are typically year cards, but this is called an initial situation card. So these are kind of like, there's a bunch of those too. There, we'll stop there. But these are very similar to Churchill. You would see what's going to happen to each of the factions and some of the limitations or things that they have going on. They are numbered, you'll notice, 1813 March through April, whereas this one's 1814 March through April. So those are the initial situation cards. There's a bunch of those. Really love the graphic design on the back of those as well. Then you have these things called handicap cards. I'm not sure if that's place a minor country issue marker, your choice, at a distance of 2 on your national track. Yeah, these are kind of nice. They're called handicap, but it's like in golf. You get a handicap, that means you're getting a couple extra or strokes off. It kind of helps you. But that's what those are, kind of an ability for players to get ahead based on historical things. These are leader cards. So this is Austrian Metternich, British leader Castreo. I can't pronounce that, sorry. French is Napoleon, and then you have Tsar Alexander I as the Russian leader. They have values in the upper left. You can play these cards as a card in the round, getting those ops points to then move those issues, that number on the track. They also have kind of different special abilities you're going to need to pay attention to. That's the thing about these cards. You're going to have to really pay attention because they have a lot of different parts and pieces. And ultimately, you don't want to miss some because that's going to affect the way you play the game. These are game cards. So I said 4 types of cards. Yeah, 4 types of cards. You have the initial situation, handicap, leaders. Let's say, yeah, these are leader cards. And then these are called the game cards. So these are kind of different events, historical figures that you're going to use to move your issues along. Once again, there's like an ops value there. This is devow. And then this is going to be kind of some benefits or negatives or positives to the issues that relate to these issues. So that's what those cards are. But you'll see there's cards for each of the factions. Very clearly marked, very big letters. I like those. Yeah, this is a pretty sweet looking game. Graphic design wise, it's beautiful. GMT just always does a great job. They just know how to make games, frankly. So there you have it. That is a look at all the contents in the Congress of Vienna. I'm very much looking forward to this game because we have loved Churchill and Pericles. I liked Pericles a lot. Not as much as Churchill, but it's a very different type of game. I think this one's going to mimic Pericles probably more than it does Churchill, but that's yet to be seen. I have not played yet. So once again, there you have it. Congress of Vienna from GMT Games, designed by Frank Esparago. The map graphics and board are done by Terry Leeds. He always does a great job. You can get this one from GMT Games. This is a 2025 release, came out in the first quarter, and it's one that I want to definitely get to the table and let you know what we think. So thank you so much for watching. I've been Grant for the Player's Aid.